and members of the committee. House File 3394 is a bit unique in that it is a House resolution. I think the last one of these that I authored was the Great Lakes Compact resolution back in the late 2000s. So it differs from a law change in terms of that it is a resolution. You're not required on the floor to vote for a resolution. But what this does is it memorializes Congress to name the post office in South St. Paul, Officer Leo Pavlak. Now, those of you who are history buffs may remember in the 1930s, the Barker Carpus gang. And in the 1930s, during the Depression, bank robberies, people robbed banks because that's where the money was. And the stockyards in South St. Paul were a source of money during the 1930s. Officer Pavlak was killed in an ambush outside of the post office in 1933. And so what this would do, it's my understanding that all members of a congressional delegation need to agree on naming of a post office. And this bill is a resolution to Congress encouraging them to name post office in memory of Officer Pavlak. We have with us Commander Wiki, who is the current chief of the South St. Paul Police. And in your packet, there is a letter from the Pavlak family supporting this resolution. So, Officer Wiki.
And Representative Hanson, there's no truth that you were there to witness the event. But
no,
anyway, we'll go to
no.
Anyway, we'll go to Commander Wiki. Welcome to the committee, Commander Wiki. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair Nelson, members of the committee. My name is Brian Wiki, and I am currently the commander for the South St. Paul Police Department. I'm here today on behalf of the South St. Paul Police Department and the City of South St. Paul, expressing our support for House File 3394 and the resolution supporting the naming of the post office for Officer Leo Pavlak. The resolution as written does a great job, as did Representative Hanson, explaining the facts that led up to Officer Pavlak's brutal murder in 1933. My point here today is I'd like to make sure that the members of this committee are aware of the legacy of service that Officer Pavlak brought to the state of Minnesota. And I'll briefly summarize that. At the time of Officer Pavlak's death, he was survived by two children. His son, Robert, went on to serve in the U.S. Marines. He served his entire career with the St. Paul Police Department. And importantly for this group, he served in the Minnesota House in the late 60s and the early 70s. Towards the tail end of his career, Robert Pavlak was appointed as the U.S. Marshal for the District of Minnesota and served in that capacity for a good portion of the 1980s. Robert Pavlak's children, two of note, Bob and Dave, went on to serve in law enforcement as well, continuing that legacy of service. Bob serving with the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office throughout the duration of his career, and David with the St. Paul Police Department. Very self-serving and important to the city of South St. Paul is within the past year, we have brought on Bob's son, Ryan, to the South St. Paul Police Department, coming full circle in that legacy of the Pavlak family and their service to not only the metro area, but the state of Minnesota. With that said, I am here to stand for any questions and offer our wholehearted support in support of House File 3394.
Any questions of the testifier or the author? And Representative Mason, you still have your hand up from the last time?
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions of the testifier or the author? I'm seeing no hands popping up. Representative Hanson, if you want to quickly wrap up, and then we will take the vote.
Thank you, Chair Nelson, Commander Wiki, and the Pavlak family for their service. I'd ask for your support in moving this to the General Register. I think it's an important way that we can recognize the sacrifice of Officer Pavlak. And thank you I would encourage you to co-author. There's plenty of space on the co-author list, and I'd invite you to co-author as this moves forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
With that, members, I will renew my motion that House File, number right here, 3394, be referred to the general register. Mr. Brinks, will you take the roll?
Thank you. Chair Nelson.
Aye.
Nelson votes aye. Vice Chair Carlson.
Aye.
Carlson votes aye. Representative Nash.
Aye.
Nash votes aye. Representative Bonner.
Aye.
Bonner votes aye. Representative Jaskowski.
Aye.
Jaskowski votes aye. Representative Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins votes aye. Representative Greenman.
Aye.
Greenman votes aye. Representative Cleaborn.
Cleaborn, aye.
Cleaborn votes aye. Representative Kosnick.
No.
Kosnick votes nay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cosmic aye.
Kosnick votes aye. Representative Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason votes aye. Representative New Brindley.
Aye.
New Brindley votes aye. Representative Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski votes aye. Representative Quam. Representative Quam. Chair, with a vote of 12 ayes and 1 abstained, the motion prevails.
Would say Quam's excused instead of abstained. The motion approved. The bill's on its way to the general register. The next bill we have is House File 4069, also a Hanson bill, and House File 4069.